Alright everyone, we're in my kitchen now, and we're going to prepare our very Baldwin famous sheet crab soup. I've got all my mise en place prep ready here. I've got my milk warming up on the back of the stove. So we're going to start out by chopping our onion. I've got most of it already ready, but just a quick tip to dice an onion. I've got a half here, cut it in half, and I'm going to lay my hand flat on top so I can't cut myself, and go almost all the way through the onion, leaving the very end. And I'm going to come down again, not all the way through. And then when I dice, I've got a nicely roux diced onion. So again, I've got my milk heating up. I call for 2 quarts of milk. For the butter, I call for 3/4 cups. And we're going ahead and rendering the butter, melting the butter. And basically what we're going to do is saute the onions and garlic. And a little tip about sauteing, it doesn't matter what you saute, vegetables, protein, chicken, beef. The idea is that you have a medium to high heat and minimal amount of fat. So I just added our diced onion. I call for 1 medium onion. And our garlic cloves, I call for 2 to 3. If they're small cloves, like I had small ones, I used 4 instead of 3. We like garlic. The other thing that I like to do, I call for 2 teaspoons of Old Bay. I actually like to add this to my onion sauteing. Just intensifies the flavor a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and add the remainder of my butter that we'll use to create the roux. So when you're making a roux with butter and flour, the rule is you use equal parts butter to flour. In terms of how much roux is based on how much liquid you want to thicken. I do it by sight, but there is a formula that you can Google that it's real simple to help you calculate how much roux you need for the amount of liquid. Alright, so I have my 3/4 cups of flour, and what we call this when you're adding flour to a roux that has vegetables or something else in it is we call that sange. So basically sange is dusting with flour. You can do this, another example would be you cook a pot roast in a pan in the oven and you pull it out when it's finished and you have all the drippings, all the vegetables in the bottom of the pan. You can actually remove the stock, the liquid. If you need to add a little fat in, like the butter that we used, you can. Dust that with flour, your vegetables in there. Add your stock back to create a sauce, and you don't lose any of that flavor through the entire roasting process. So now we're going to add our flour. It's like anything else, you can add more, but you can't take it out, so just be careful. So we're ready to do what we call temper. So I don't want to dump all of this milk in here at one time. I want to add a little bit to temper the liquid to my roux. And what that helps you avoid is getting those clumps in your soup or your sauce. The other thing is too, if I didn't previously heat this milk, it would take a whole lot longer to thicken. So now what we're creating is what we call viscosity, or thickness. There's a couple ways I can affect that. Obviously, if I have more roux, it's going to be thicker. Also, the longer I simmer it, the thicker it's going to get as well. So here again, I can add more, but I can't remove it. So as it starts to thicken up, if I need to add more, I can. I'm just going to leave it sitting right there for a moment. I've got maybe a cup and a half of milk still in my pot here. Add my lobster bisque. I listed it as Harbor Bay. Comes in a 10.5 ounce can. You can also use lobster base as well. It just adds an element of flavor that isn't traditional in this type of soup, but we really like it. Before I season it, I'm going to go ahead and taste it. It does take a little bit to simmer to cook the flour taste out. So I know where I am approximately. I'm going to go ahead and, as the recipe calls for, salt and pepper to taste. Of course, I don't want anybody to mistake me as being the chef at Mary Baldwin that currently makes the soup. I work with two wonderful colleagues, Executive Chef Chris Sorrells, Sous Chef Jonathan Huntermark, and they've made this soup for us for many, many years and make it as good or better than I do. The other thing that can affect this soup is the type of milk that you use. We buy 2%, so it's not heavy on cream, it's not light. It's the flavor that we're used to. So as the recipe mentions, we're going to finish it with heavy cream. If you use whole milk, you may not want to add heavy cream because you've kind of already got the fat volume in there that you want. So we're going to let this simmer just a few minutes. So the recipe also calls for real crab meat. Typically I buy claw. Special is okay as well. In the times that we're in, we're getting what we can get. My wife actually picked up some today that is lump, not jumbo, but still lump. So it's going to be a even more special she crab soup today. So here's the viscosity now that we're simmering it, so you can see how it's getting body to it, thickening up. Again, that's something that you can adjust based on how you like the thicknesses of your soup. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and add in our crab meat. I'm just going to use my hand to make sure that it's not big clumps. Here's the reserved milk. Once I understood I had the almost correct viscosity, I went ahead and added the rest of the milk too. I'm going to let this simmer probably another 10 minutes. I'm going to just chop a few green onions for garnish. Got just a little bit of smoked paprika that's not in the recipe, but makes it look pretty. And we've got our sherry, about a cup full. Just adds a nice flavor to the soup. And there you have it, Mary Baldwin's famous she crab soup. Thank you for joining me.